What was once the Polk County Courthouse now serves as the Polk History Center and houses the Historical Museum and Library. The museum serves Polk's community through special events, volunteer opportunities, and educational programs. More details are coming up next on Polk Place. Welcome to Polk Place. I'm your host, Tina Mann, and joining me in the studio today is Martis Young, the Historic and Preservation Manager at the History Center. Welcome.
Hi, Tina. Happy to be here today.
Always glad to have you here. So, March is very important to you and I as women, and why is that?
Well, since March is the month to celebrate women and their accomplishments, we have decided to do that at the History Center by featuring a tour, and the tour will take you through all our exhibits and give you an opportunity to learn about women and their accomplishments, particularly women in Polk County and their accomplishments, and showcase some of our outstanding leadership.
And I'm excited about the Curators of Curiosity program this month because there's a really neat story behind it. Why don't you tell us that story?
I love this story. The Curators of Curiosity this month will be making poppies. And we're all familiar with the red poppies, but the story, when we started researching this primarily for the World War I exhibit, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, this story evolved from that research. And there's a lovely lady, the poppy lady, Moyna Bell Michael, who was a school teacher in Georgia. And Miss Michael was impressed by a poem that she read that was written by John McCrae, who is a Canadian physician who had served in the European front during World War I. And he noticed an interesting thing was occurring on the battlefields, and these poppies were beginning to bloom. Well, the interesting phenomenon about poppy seeds is that they can lay dormant in the ground for up to 80 years, wow, but they require light to bloom. Well, with the devastation of Europe between building trenches and artillery fires and bombs, of course the soil is disturbed, and these poppies started blooming all over Europe. And so he wrote a poem, and his poem it's a poem about that. And she, Miss Michael, was she was just so touched by the fact that we shall not sleep in Flanders fields, and touched by the fact that these poppies were blooming in this very devastating period of time. So she dedicated she made a commitment to create an emblem of remembrance through wearing a poppy every day of her life until she died. So that's the story of the poppies and why we buy poppies and wear poppies as a remembrance of veterans who served in foreign wars.
I just think that's so neat because, I always kind of wondered why they handed out, the veterans will sell for $1 each, or they're raising money. I had no clue, so that's very cool.
You had a great story.
It is, and I love the tie with World War I as well. Speaking of World War I and our local, war people, we can actually see where they were buried.
We're so fortunate. We have so many interesting historic sites in Polk County. And on one of the tours on the History and Heritage Trail, and also on the Florida Stories walking app, is a trip to Oak Hill Cemetery, the historic Oak Hill Cemetery here in Bartow. And always the first Saturday of the month, we depart from the museum around 11 o'clock and walk down to Oak Hill Cemetery. And we have several of our World War I veterans who are buried in Oak Hill. So as you go through that tour, those grave sites are recognized on the tour, and we learn a little bit about the people who served during World War I who are interred there.
Nice. And that's actually March 3rd, and it's important to note that these end in April, so if they want to do them, they should probably go ahead and take advantage of that now.
That is a very good point, because as we know, by April, our summer heat is approaching, so it gets a little warm to walk down there and do the tour April through really October.
It definitely is. And of course, February's kind of been a little bit hot this year.
It has.
So also in March, which is important to the Bartow community as well as you, is Bloomin' Arts, and you guys have special hours.
We do. The Bloomin' Arts Festival is, it's an exciting time for us because we have the opportunity to participate in this wonderful cultural event. We do change our hours. We are open on Saturday from 10 to 4, and then we are open Sunday, special hours 10 to 2. And those hours are to accommodate essentially 2 exhibits that are consistent with the Bloomin' Arts Festival. One is the Festival of Quilts, and we'll have around 30 plus quilts that will be on display in the 1926 courtroom. I know, just beautiful works of art. And then of course our showcase quilt, which is the quilt that was designed to match the rosette in the rotunda. And that was a quilt that was actually, there are 10,800 squares in that quilt to create that design. So we hope that everybody will come and take advantage of that, walk through, see the other exhibits, enjoy the History Center during this period of time. And in addition to that, the local Bartow Art Guild has their display Dimensions, which are local artists that are featured for the Bloomin' Arts Festival.
I've already found a piece that I would like to buy from that. I got to get a sneak peek of the exhibit. And in conjunction with Bloomin' Arts, you guys are holding your 2nd annual book sale.
We do. This is, I appreciate having a chance to talk about this because the book sale gives us an opportunity to sell some books that might be duplicates or they're unusual and unique. And the prices are great. They're $1 to $5. And it generates revenue for us to support some of our programming, the Lunch and Learn programming, or just different educational programs at the museum. And it's actually, it's the book sale of the Polk County Historical Association, and that's our wonderful friends organization, the 501c3, and they have worked with us. We work in collaboration with them. So our book sale, so come down and take a look and might find something just rare and so wonderful to read.
So Saturday, March 3rd is definitely a time to visit the History Center. They can go on a tour, they can see Bloomin' Arts, quilts, all sorts of neat things.
It just occurred to me, you could buy your book, and if you're tired, you need a little respite from the exhibit, just pop yourself in a bench and read on your book.
You could. You definitely could. And then also coming up in March is our normal architectural tour.
Our architectural tour, that's one of my favorites because it's an opportunity for us to share the story of our beautiful building. The architectural tours, it's curated, so you learn a little bit more about the designer, the building, the structure, the dome. I love for people to come and take advantage of that. That's always on the 3rd Saturday of the month. Again, that starts at 11 o'clock.
People get to experience that beautiful building. I know we just had a bunch of middle schoolers in last week, and I heard over and over, "This is beautiful." So
I know.
It's an opportunity to learn about all those details. So that is Saturday, March 17th, and then after that is the Lunch and Learn on March 20th.
I am so excited about this. Florida is such a great state to talk about, isn't it? It is a great state. So Craig Pittman, who is a native Floridian, is going to be our speaker for the Lunch and Learn. And Craig is, he was a long-time environmental reporter for the Tampa Bay Times. So he's been on the speaking circuit. He's been at the History Center, and he's just well received and fun to listen to. So the program for March is Oh Florida, How America's Weirdest State Influences the Rest of the Country. So how's that? Not only are we the center of the universe, but we also influence the rest of the country by the shenanigans of Floridians. So it's going to be humorous, and it's an entertaining program. We hope everybody will come and enjoy this with us on the March 20th Lunch and Learn.
It does sound like fun, because a lot of the time you read articles, you're like, please don't let this be Florida. Please don't let this be, and of course it is.
And it is.
Of course it is. So he also has the corresponding book that we're actually recommending this month.
That's right. We're reading that, and we thought, well, what other book could we recommend but the book that corresponds with the topic?
And let's talk a little bit about, we're going back to the architecture of the History Center. You guys have recently received a grant to repair the inside of the building.
We are so excited about this. We were successful in acquiring a grant through the Division of Historic Resources, the state of Florida. And this is really a phase 2 of a project that the county started in 2015, 2016.
Right.
The building was repointed, so the outside walls, the brick and the stone were, the grouting material was actually cut out and regrouted. And that was to protect the outside, because over the years as that had deteriorated, moisture was wicking through the building, and it caused some damage to the walls and the interior. So now we're so excited. We were very pleased to learn that we were the recipients of a $100,000 grant to do the repairs on the interior. So that project should begin in March. It's a 6 months project, so it's just so exciting that the building, this preservation project that was done in 2 phases, we're going to actually see the successful completion of that probably by late summer.
And it's just so important to preserve and take care of that building, because it's just such a neat piece of history.
It is. We're so fortunate. The leadership of our county has a commitment and a respect for the historical important aspects of the county, our architecture, our monuments and markers. And this is so important to us because this really preserves the architectural integrity of this building to keep it special for many, many years to come.
In March, of course, launches spring training, and you guys actually have an exhibit that goes along with that.
Take me out to the ball game. We are really excited about that. We have in our tourism, our Polk at Play gallery, an exhibit that is dedicated to the history of baseball. And of course it features, the Detroit Tigers and their history and evolution. But in addition to that, the exhibit features, as the training teams evolved and started in the county, it's a nice little story about the history of baseball in Polk County. So it's a great time to come and enjoy that and take in some baseball.
And permanently end up with Take Me Out to the Ball Game in your head, singing it after you leave.
Exactly, and all night long and into the wee hours of the morning.
All day long. And you had mentioned earlier the World War I exhibit. Did you want to tell us a little bit about that?
To mention again, it's just a very, very important and significant time in our history as the United States is commemorating the 100th anniversary of our involvement in World War I. This is an opportunity for us to talk about the local interest or the local involvement in World War I. So we curated an exhibit, and it is just full of interesting artifacts. And one of my favorite is the story of the use of propaganda posters during this period of time. Of course, our president at the time, Woodrow Wilson, had run on a ticket in 1916 of neutrality. And then by 1917, it is obvious that our involvement in the war is going to happen. So he had to go to Congress to request an act of war, and then he had to tell the story and create a different attitude in the country. So we have a collection of these just amazing stories of how it is important for the United States to enter the war. So it's a great exhibit. It'll be in place until November 2018. So while it's up, I just hope everybody has a chance to come down and take a look at that. And remember the Great War, the war to end all wars, and our involvement and the people locally who participated in that endeavor.
And it really is a beautiful exhibit too. I mean, you guys do such a great job, and there's lots of stuff to see and do at the History Center, and everybody should go out and visit it.
We think so.
Thank you for coming out today.
And thank you, Tina.
Polk County has a rich history and heritage, and the Polk County History Center is continuously thinking of new ways to help Polk residents experience that history. The museum's collection includes natural and cultural objects related to Polk and the greater Central Florida area that represent our history from pre-Columbian to present-day eras. The artifacts on display at the museum represent individuals, cultural groups, and events significant to the region. Located at 100 East Main Street in Bartow, the History Center is open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. For more information about exhibits and events, you can check them out on the web at polkhistorycenter.org or give them a call at 863-587-5255. 534-4386.